Welcome, dear ones. I'm Sue Paulson, your magnificence mentor, and we're back with another episode of The Healing Call of Cancer. Now, last week, we talked about the importance of an integrative approach to healing, looking at mind, body, and soul as a way of furthering your movement away from cancer, through the fear of cancer, and beyond to a life that maybe you've always dreamed of, but were maybe never sure you could have. Well, I know you can have it. So, because you're that magnificent, right? So you deserve every good thing in life that life has to offer. And part of what I see as my job is to inspire you and support you to get exactly that. Today, I thought we'd focus on supporters, on gathering the support team or people in your life that are going to help you along your journey. Now, and of course, it's in two parts. Certainly, we have those supporters who lovingly surround us after a diagnosis, and they want to help. They want to do something to feel that they're contributing to your well-being in some way, whether it's driving you to appointments, whether it's making a meal for you, whether it's cleaning your bathtub. There's so many things, or just to sit and listen while you sleep and be there for you. So supporters take many different roles when we're going through treatment and working through all the pieces of that. I don't encourage you to take this journey alone. It's a tough go, and alone makes it seem a lot longer and a lot harder. Now, of course, it's your choice as to who, first of all, who you're going to tell about your cancer. So I know a friend of mine, when she got a diagnosis, she didn't tell most of her extended family. She only told the people who she felt would give her the kind of encouragement and inspiration and positive support that would help her go through her journey. So she told very few people, and that worked for her. That was good for her. I, on the other hand, pretty much told everybody. I didn't want to tell anybody, but I felt too overwhelmed by it all to keep it to myself. Plus, you might have guessed I'm a bit of a talker, so keeping that big thing all to myself was just not going to happen, because eventually it would leak out. They could tell by the look on my face that something was wrong. Well, Sue, what's wrong? Well, I couldn't lie. So anyway, I told everybody. And of course, I was in some ways rather shocked at how much support was coming my way, because I'm not sure that I felt I deserved the support that they were offering. Now, you need to know that from teenage years, I grew up fiercely independent, and I wasn't sure that I could trust anyone else to look after me. So I mostly looked after myself. And I confess there were times when I wasn't even sure that I could look after me, that I could trust myself that far. But that's what I was left with. So, and because I was brought up to serve from a very young age, that old adage about giving is better than receiving was ingrained in me from the time I could understand what that actually meant. And even though I don't believe it to be true, I think giving is as good as receiving, and receiving is as good as giving. Both are important, and both are essential to our well-being. That wasn't how I was raised. So I was the one who would take the chipped plate at dinner time because, well, everybody else deserved something better. So the idea of receiving other people's support was pretty foreign to me. I really didn't have that in me to do that. People would say, well, Sue, do you need help? No, no, I'm fine. I can manage. I'll get along. Don't you worry. But of course, in this instance, I did need help. And I think at first I was a very reluctant receiver, and I received begrudgingly only because I was feeling weak and vulnerable, and I didn't feel I had any other choice. So I allowed people to support me in ways that I really, really needed. And the joy that came from that, it was a huge learning for me to realize that they felt that I was worthy to receive. So that was a big deal for me. And part of my whole growth process as I was going through that, I'm not sure I would have understood it in quite the same way without having cancer come calling. So anyway, from a supportive standpoint, there are those people who are there to nurture us so that we can get through what we need to get through easier, because there's parts of that that only you can deal with because it's happening to you. But the backup becomes really, really important. Now, what happens then when you're through treatment and the cancer clinic or the hospital says, okay, we're good now, you're on your own, see you later, and you're at home alone, and maybe your supporters have said, wow, we got him or her through this part, so now they're in recovery, and so it doesn't seem so dire, and maybe the support isn't necessary, it's not as forthcoming, and so on. And that's true, that a lot of the support that you were getting is probably no longer necessary, but that doesn't mean you don't still need some support. I remember coming home from the hospital. I was kind of souped up on pain medication, and one of my biggest fears was getting addicted to this pain medication, because that was just something that I didn't want to happen. And yet I had needed these high doses while I was going through my treatments. So I would have appreciated at that time somebody to talk to about that, other than the doctor telling me how to get off them, but just to be with me as I explored, well, what's going on with my body? And I don't understand this, and so on. So I needed a different kind of support. And let's face it, if you've spent weeks in the hospital and all of a sudden you come home to a somewhat empty household, and the expectation is you'll be able to manage on your own, oh boy, that hit me, because the sense of isolation and some different kinds of fears grew out of that. Am I going to be able to manage on my own? What if I don't recover as well as I want to? What if, and all of these questions came up. So the supporters and the people that you want to surround yourself with at that point might be different, because their roles are going to be different. Sometimes you need a friend that you can just talk to in a normal fashion, the way you used to talk to them. So I remember, for example, that friends would come and they'd start telling me about their challenges and their problems and their troubles, as they used to all the time. And then mid-sentence, sometimes they'd stop themselves and they'd say, oh, but what I'm going through doesn't, it's nothing like what you're going through. And and so I shouldn't even be really mentioning that. And I'm going, well, no, look, I really need to hear something, quotes, normal. Whatever you're going through, lay it on me, because that's a part of my life that gives me a sense of, well, life is carrying on as usual for people, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's going along. and I haven't felt a part of it for a long time. So if you've been playing a supportive role for someone who has been going through cancer, just be yourself and talk about what you would normally talk about, because that contributes a level of everydayness that's been missing. So it's that kind of environment that's helpful to create for yourself. And of course, this is the time that I would recommend supporters who perhaps have some professional skills that can support you in getting at the root of whatever was eating away at you before your cancer diagnosis. Cancer is very much an eating away disease. Well, things bug us when we're growing up, and things gnaw at us that we don't understand and we don't get. And I came to realize after a period of time that I had some worthiness issues that were at the root of so many things that happened for years after that. And when I discovered that, it gave me an opportunity to begin to flip, to be able to say, whoa, well, why would I consider myself to be less worthy than the next person? So the support and the professional help and people to talk to who it turns out were going through similar things. It wasn't an original thought to me that something wasn't quite right in the way I had been living my life. Many other people that I've talked to found that maybe they had jobs that were just bothering them, and they were kind of soul destroying. And as an after effect, when that job was no longer either available or they weren't able to return to that work, they were actually very grateful because, well, I got out of that. So it's a very complex time in working from, okay, now I've finished my treatments and I'm going to resume life in as normal a fashion as I can, even though I might not know what that looks like. And maybe I want to find ways to enhance life, to bring in things that I never did. One particular friend took up photography because he didn't have the energy to do an awful lot else, but he knew he felt so much better being in nature. Well, his pictures are just gorgeous, absolutely astounding. Well, this was not anything he had ever done before. So all of a sudden he has kind of a new lease on life and a support in a way that he hadn't dreamed was possible. So the support can come from things you do, not necessarily just from other people. So that's what I really wanted to lay the groundwork for today, was for you to start taking a look at how you can be supported through this journey, right from diagnosis and then post-treatment, and how do you deal with the aftermath of that from there. So I just encourage you to think about that and reach out to those who might be able to be there for you. It also could mean that there will be some people that just don't fit in your life anymore. Well, don't hang on to them just because you've had them for 35 years. If the relationship is done, if you've moved on to a different thing, or a different way of being, you can gently let them go. You know, if they're not serving you, then maybe there's some toxicity there that needs to be just let go of. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, support. If you're finding these videos valuable, you can subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get an alert that tells you every week that there's a new episode coming along. All of them are posted on my free app, The Magnificence Mentor. You can download it from the Google Store or from Apple. And that will just open up a whole bunch of content, not just the Healing Call of Cancer, but I have Tea with Sue on Friday videos that I shoot every week. And also, the Magnificent Moments is on there as well. So there's lots of content to support you in your journey through life. Until next time, be well, take courage. You will get through this.